The Eastern Cape Human Settlements Department will kickstart its 3-day Indaba in Gqeberha today. It aims to fast-track service delivery and to improve sustainable human settlements. Yesterday, the Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi hosted an emergency housing engagement with 6 districts and 24 local municipalities. It was meant to consolidate interventions in the Eastern Cape. Newzroom Afrika's Siphosethu Booi joins us live ahead of that event this morning. Siphosethu, what are the outcomes here, the tangible outcomes that we are hoping for? And as the question always is, what are the timelines?
Definitely, Michelle, and I think that's the most important word for today is timeline. People are expecting to hear when these implementation plans that were part of the discussions from the Human Settlement Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi, and I'm going to be joined now by the MEC for Human Settlement in the Eastern Cape Province, because she was also a part of that meeting, so she'll just give us a bit of a debrief as far as what outcomes and also just one of the grievances or the many grievances that were tabled by the mayors with regards to some of the issues that they are faced with. MEC, thank you very much for making time to speak to us here on Newzroom Afrika. My very first question to you would definitely be about the meeting that you had with the Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi yesterday. Please speak to us about some of the outcomes and also at the time frames with regards to some of the implementation plans that the office, the national office, shared with the provincial government.
Okay, thank you very much. The meeting with the minister yesterday was mainly to deal with the human settlement sector's approach to the emergency and response to disaster and the availability of emergency settlements or emergency housing, particularly on cases of disaster. We had all district municipalities present. The main objective of the minister was to look at the backlog, moving back from the 30th of March backwards, considering the implementation of the new policy on the human settlements disaster response and emergency that was effective from the 1st of April. So, which have almost centered the response on the human settlements to the national office, because provinces, there are some provinces like the Eastern Cape, KZN, that are more prone to disasters than others. So how you manage the whole budget at a national level and able to cater and respond to these, the national department becomes quite central. So the issue now is that we have a backlog in the province, and I know in other provinces as well, of the response and the availability of a permanent solution to households and families that have been affected from disasters. There's the 2022 disasters in November, there was the 2023 one, Port St. John's, Lukanji, Jogabi, the list is endless. And the response of government, because of the limited resources, has not always been able to provide on-the-spot permanent solution. But those needs to be availed, and that's the main point of the minister. She did give tight timelines on all the contractors and all the contracts that are still on the ground, providing the relief on the various disasters, for them to complete that process so that we can then immediately, on real time, be able to provide emergency response using the new approach, because the new approach would then ensure that when national government intervenes to cover all the affected communities, unlike a time when whatever response that the sector is going to avail will be based on what the provincial government and the provincial department has been allocated in the start of the financial year. So I think we'll wait for Minister to give us actually her plan and the time frames, but I do want to ensure South Africans that the minister was quite firm in the need to completely eradicate the backlog on the response to disasters. Secondly, the minimization of the usage of temporary residential units. It's that where government is able to, we respond with permanent solutions. When we are able to, and those households are in a position to, we assist them to almost rebuild their houses. So when and it will be quicker and more convenient to provide building material, look at innovative technology to respond to disasters and all those things. So that's what the new policy is bringing into play. But we can't implement that without looking back at the past and our response and the backlog we have on responding to previous disasters.
And with that being said, I understand also the Auditor General did mention that they were not impressed with regards to just some of the provinces, especially districts in the Eastern Cape province, with regards to how they responded to the backlog and also just the slow response as far as the disaster management situation of floods is concerned. I know also Port St. John's was just one of the districts that were also mentioned. And with regards to the issue of the backlog of those people that are still waiting for housing, still need to be placed in better positions and places where they won't be stats again and also go through what they went through. What did the provincial government also say as far as your plans were concerned with regards to why, the reasoning rather behind the slow response from the provincial government with regards to attending to these issues?
Okay. The first area of concern as far as our response on disaster is how do you procure and deliver the response within the 14-day, but still sticking to all the prescripts that govern procurement, which is why the centralization becomes easier for us. The second area is that there are areas that we know they are more prone. When you're looking at Port St. John's, you know that Port St. John's says we are responding to this one, another one. So there's a process of even reallocating the residential areas for such settlements. But the point being that we need to look at innovative ways. We need to work with communities where there are areas more prone, reallocate them. We're doing the same in Lukhanji and other more disaster-prone areas.
MEC for Human Settlements, Michelle Siphosethu, just giving us a background in terms of what was discussed in that meeting yesterday, and hopefully today we'll also hear with regards to some of the plans that the provincial government as well as national government has in store for the people that also live in informal settlements, as that's quite prone in the Eastern Cape province, where people move from smaller villages to urban areas for work opportunities. And we understand also some of those issues are also related to poverty in the Eastern Cape province. So that Indaba will take place today here at the Nelson Mandela University South Campus here in Gqeberha.
Siphosethu, Booi, thanks very much indeed for that update.